Hey there, happy Thursday, July 28th. This is my cheat sheet for today. And yesterday I just had to get away from the noise for a little while. The noise I'm talking about is everything coming out of Washington. And the freak out factor was high yesterday. My phone started ringing, people worried about what to do with their money. I'll talk about that in just a moment. First, I wanted to hit on some positive news. It looks like we actually could see salaries rise an average of 3% next year, and not just the government jobs. You know, coming into this past year, I had said that I thought the era of automatic cost of living adjustments by most companies was over, and that does still appear as though it's true. But here's the good news. If you're a high performer, the odds are you're going to make money. And more than the 3%, you'll probably make something closer to 5%. And on the flip side, if you're not such a hot performer, odds are you aren't going to see a raise at all. I think that's the new era that we live in. But the good news is this year we saw salaries rise by an average of about 2.2, 2.4%. It looks like that could rise to 3% next year. Now about all the debt stuff that's going on. All right. So first off, how a default could actually end up working. There are these instruments, without being too complicated, called credit default swaps. In English, they're basically insurance in case of a default. In other words, if the United States were to default on its debt, these would get paid out. So we have seen a 27% increase in July in these default swaps, people buying the insurance. If you take a look at the financial markets right now, it looks like they're pricing in about a 70% chance that there is not a United States default and about a 30% chance if there is. Now obviously, if you have money in the markets and it's at 70% right now and we do default, there's a lot of downside in the financial markets. So we have to be very real about that. On the flip side, with 30% being priced in that we do default, a lot of that will come off, and that means that there is room to rise in the financial markets if we do manage to avoid a default. Here's a more controversial point of view on the whole thing, though. There are actually some economists out there now that are painting a picture that longer term, this could actually be good for us, a default, if that were to happen. What they are saying is the dollar has been watered down so much over the past several years. We're at record lows against most major currencies around the world because, we've just been taking on all this debt, that if we default, we won't be able to take on any more debt. We'll have to permanently redo the way that we do business in the United States, be forced to live within our means. And that, while that would hurt short term, over the long run, could actually be good news for the United States dollar. So just a little food for thought there. All right, the IRS is asking airlines to refund some of the money. Most of the major airlines have raised prices to accommodate for an IRS provision that came off on Saturday. The IRS is saying that many of the airlines raised prices on Friday and that those travelers that paid ahead of the tax coming off should be refunded. The airlines, not hearing it so much. In fact, they're actually pointing back at the IRS going, hey, why don't you go talk to those guys? Here's a new twist on something. Hotels. Hopefully you're not the person that's ever stolen linens from a hotel. But get this, 5 to 20% of all hotel linens are actually stolen. So they're trying something new. Marriott, among some others, are actually going to begin using RFID chips. These are the chips that are like on clothing, so that you can't rip them off from the stores. The whole thing goes off. Well, the RFID tags are going to start being implemented in some of the linens and tracked. And so if you try to swipe them in certain locations, they'll know. And good luck. That could be a bad day. There's a new research study out that shows that cell phone use among children does not increase cancer risk. They studied children for 12 years from the age of 7 all the way to 19, including some that already had cancer, to see if the results of them in their cancer worsened over the course of time, and it did not. Information about that. Some retirement expenses that get out of control. I've got that information on my cheat sheet today, so be sure to click on it. And the new Ford Explorer, most fuel-efficient full-size SUV, turbocharged and 28 miles a gallon. Information about that on the cheat sheet as well. See you tomorrow.